I think he's an absolute beast. I think he might be one of the best people we picked up this
Really.
draft.
When I see this, I see a little bit of Will Levis.
I would have selected Will Howard over Shador easily.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tucker Breeze, and welcome up to the Nosebleeds.
Welcome back to the Nosebleeds. I'm Tucker Breeze. This is Hunter Cumpston. How are we doing tonight?
Fantastic.
It's good to hear. We got a big topic to discuss. The NFL draft took place just less than a week ago. Travis Hunter to Jacksonville. What were some eye-popping picks for you?
I mean, surprising one to go in the first, Gray Zabel. I expected him a little later than that, but obviously with his stellar pro day, um, teams wanted him,
Yeah, coming out of
and I can see why.
coming
So
out of North Dakota State.
yeah, I can definitely see why.
And the Browns dropped back to fifth, and then they ended up getting Mason Graham, defensive
Yeah,
tackle out of Michigan. We have Abdul Carter going to the Giants at
Abdul
3.
Carter. I mean, that defensive line is going to be. It was already stellar. It's going to be absolutely atrocious now.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, it's gonna be very hard to deal with in the NFC East as all of these uh, division rivals are beefing up their defensive lines. So
Yeah.
I think that's why we saw Dallas get an offensive lineman in the first round
We
too.
learned a lot from Philly last year, you know,
Nah, at this point, it's fuck Philly now.
like making that D line and that O line just go off provides the whole team a lot more wiggle room. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah.
those two lines, I mean, it's built in the trenches. So offense and defense.
What do you think about Ashton Genty to the Raiders? I know we were
I mean,
both.
we all expected that. I was a little upset because before Jacksonville traded up, I was seeing a lot of rumors that Bears were potentially trading up to the
Mm,
fifth pick with Jacksonville, going to trade picks, do a little more, um, and maybe possibly go to the Bears. And I've seen him hanging out with Caleb. I've seen him quite a few things. I think a running back would have been a great weapon for this. Going to be um, a lot of offense where they're doing fakes to the running back. You know what I mean? They're going to be needing that running back to provide those throwing lanes. So
coming from a Bears fan yourself, what do you think about the pick they ultimately did make at 10?
Colston Loveland, it was honestly a surprise. I was either expecting Tyler Warren. I All the offensive tackles I saw there being a chance. Kelvin Banks. You can call him a guard, but Will Campbell. What's the one with the really hard name to pronounce?
Armand
He
Bembu?
was already gone.
Membu?
They were all gone, and like I said, Genti was gone as well before our pick even. So I could see us possibly going with the tackle if it was there still,
Yeah.
but they were all scooped up pretty dang quick. So
Yeah.
going with Colston Loveland, he is coming off of a shoulder injury. He's months into recovery now, so I've heard everything saying he should be good for practice this off season. But it was a surprise to me. I do think it is a good fit for Ben Johnson though, so
Yeah.
that's the biggest benefit. I see Colston Loveland is like you said previously before we started this. A lot of people say he's a
I compared him
Laporta.
I compared him to like a Laporta or Brock Bowers
Yeah,
type of guy.
yeah. So just getting open, getting downfield, making those real big open plays downfield through the middle. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? No, I think it'll be a good fit. I did see a lot expected us to go with Tyler Warren in that position instead, which he went, I think, 4 picks later.
Yeah.
Um,
To the Colts.
yeah, to the Colts. I expect to see him come off the board there. Um, I think he's more of a person that once the ball is in his hands, he's making great plays. Loveland is a person who's gonna get the ball in his hands more often, though. He's gonna get open more. He's gonna, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
make those splashy plays for a tight end. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's very good at getting open from everything I've seen.
I'd say
So
overall it was a surprise that Loveland was the first tight end taken. I think a lot of people
100%.
thought that it was going to be Warren, but I think the fit was there, and I think
The
what
fit
Ben
with Ben
Johnson wants to
Johnson.
do, I think it's just overall the right pick. So moving on to another decently surprising pick, I would say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going in and taking Emeka Egbuka at 19. I didn't see that coming. I thought that with Chris Godwin coming off injury and Mike Evans coming back, I thought that their wide receiver core was doing fine, but obviously there's still a need for the future to build on that. And
Especially with Mike Evans getting older. I mean,
yeah,
how long do you really have with Mike Evans?
I think they did a great job of keeping quiet and not letting anyone know that they were going after a wide receiver in the
Definitely
first.
one of the best in this draft class.
Yeah,
So
and he even went before Matthew Golden. So
yeah,
I was expecting Golden to go before either of
really
them.
okay.
Yeah, but I thought that moving back, also another wide receiver taken, Tet McMillan to the
Yeah,
Carolina Panthers at 8.
the Panthers.
Yeah, they're building something. We'll
Yeah,
see.
they're trying to build a base for Bryce Young to excel off of. You
Yeah,
know,
no,
so
shout out Carolina. I think they
yeah.
got a lot going for them in the future. Bryce Young can do it. I
And
think.
especially at the end of the season last year, we saw a lot of potential in that team. So they could definitely change things around. They haven't been a competitive team since Cam, if we're being
Yep.
transparent.
No,
So
exactly. So I think getting a guy like Tet is a great pick for the franchise. So I would also say another guy you were really high on coming into the draft at running back, Omarion Hampton. He ended up going 22nd to the Los Angeles Chargers.
and I honestly saw him, which is a kind of a weird fit. It's a good fit, but after having they have some pretty stellar running backs over there already. So
Name him.
what's his name?
Najee.
Najee.
They have
Yes.
Najee, and then they also do they still have Gus Edwards?
I don't know if they have Gus or not. Coming from the Ravens, I don't
Yeah,
know. Was that a 1 year deal
I
possibly?
believe they still have him.
Okay.
Uh,
Either way, though, they have some sound running backs. Either way, I do see Hardball loving that. You know what I mean? Like, but I did see him going. A lot of people expected. First of all, this was a player I was outstandingly optimistic about. I wanted him with our 10th overall, if I won't lie.
really, you wanted him all that
That
high?
high, yes, because or even trade back to like the lower teens because I saw him getting scooped up in the high 20s of the first round.
And
And
I
I actually predicted he was going to go to the Broncos
exactly.
instead of the
I was gonna
Chargers.
say that the
So,
Broncos would have been my pick for
yeah,
him to go,
that was
but
the expected pick. I saw him not go there. I was getting all excited. Maybe he sat till the second round. So some of those other running backs sit a little bit further as well. We didn't see that. He got scooped up at 22 and going to be a Charger, which I mean that's Hardball's style though. He plays
absolutely. And
Hardball's game. So
I found out that Harbaugh actually recruited him to Michigan out of high school. He had him on
okay,
a visit, so he finally got his guy in the end
okay,
because he ended up obviously going to North Carolina.
yeah,
So we'll move on to pick 25. The New York Giants trade back into the draft, the first round of the draft, and they select Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss.
second quarterback off the board.
Yeah,
Who expected it to be Dart?
yeah.
You know, most didn't. I see talent wise though. I think he was the second off the board. I I might be wrong, but last podcast I do believe I said I saw Shador going into the second round.
And we'll get into that, but yeah, he
Yeah.
definitely slid to the second round.
Yeah, and much further.
Yeah. All right. So, any other picks that you want to discuss for the first round that we haven't touched on?
Well, let's go after this Jackson Dart thing a little bit more. You think he's a good fit for?
I think it's a good pick for maybe the next couple years. Like
Yeah,
I don't think he'll get
immediate
substantial.
starter.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get substantial playing time in this upcoming season with Wilson and Winston being there. I think those are probably 1 and 2, and Dart will be your 3. He might make it to 2, or maybe even get a couple snaps, but I don't think he's going to be your starter.
Truthfully, the only starter I saw was Cam Ward,
Yeah,
and this is controversial again. Slid back far in the draft, like the other pick we were just talking about, Shador. Will Howard. I think he could be a starter immediately.
Yeah,
And
he dropped all the way to the 6th.
to the Steelers,
Yeah.
which I think they got an absolute steal. Won a national championship.
Yep.
Played on Ohio State. He did have some absolute weapons on Ohio State.
Yep.
So you know what I mean. The more weapons you're going to have, a little bit easier it's going to look as quarterback.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was watching his interview and everything with Gruden, and I think he's an outstanding quarterback. He's a very smart individual. I think his size, the exact same build as Josh Allen, 6'4", I think
To like 30 something.
230, 240-ish.
Yeah.
Great build, raw athletic talent. He does have a weird throwing motion a lot of people talk about. He throws when he's on his front foot a little bit instead of being on his rear foot like a lot of people like to
Yeah.
throw. But look what he's done with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
he
I
came
think
in.
he definitely could have gone a lot higher.
He came into Ohio State and won a championship in his first year. So
That's what I mean.
transferring from Kansas State.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a good pick that they scooped up in the late round, and I think it'll pay dividends to them in the long run. I want to talk about the Browns taking Quinshon Judkins. I think that was a pretty good selection by them, but then they
Yeah.
also doubled down and took Dylan Sampson from Tennessee later on in the draft.
Yeah.
Below Dak, we got Dak making an appearance.
Those two Ohio boys flew off the boards in the second round.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed. I do think the Bears could have been targeting them, but going with who they went, I think was an absolute steal as well.
Yeah.
But I think we could have been targeting a running back there, but they got sniped off the board very fast in that second round. So
right before Henderson.
which is crazy because a lot of the stuff we were seeing pre-draft was putting Judkins behind Henderson.
Yeah.
So, but I think all in all, I think Judkins will do very well in the league. I think both of them will do very well in the league, but I think Judkins, whatever.
Judkins. Yeah.
Judkins is sounds weird saying. I think he's a little bit more league oriented. I don't know why. I just get a good feeling about him going into this league. I really do. So
yeah, a lot of people compare him to like a David Montgomery type of guy.
yeah,
So
the baller, very physical.
Yeah.
I think that's what will make him. And then Henderson on the opposite side, a little more shifty, a little faster,
yeah.
a little slimmer. I think they will both do very well. But I was hoping to maybe get him in the second round after seeing us not get Omar and Hampton or Genty. I was hoping for a running back this year. I won't lie.
Yeah.
So,
no, and you did get a running back, but it was in the 7th round.
all the way in the 7th. So
And let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about go ahead and break down some of the Bears picks that
some of the Bears picks.
Yeah.
I mean,
other than Colston Loveland, we've already discussed, but in the second round, you went and go.
I knew you were high on this pick. Let's talk about the second round.
Yeah, you went and snatched at pick number 39. You got Luther Burden, the third out of Missouri, wide receiver. I think that is a great steal.
Not a great downfield route runner, but other than that, when the ball is in his hands, he's making plays. He's
Absolutely.
an absolute playmaker with the ball. With the scheme we'll be having, we already have two amazing, outstanding wide receivers. My bad.
Mm.
I think this is more of a weapon. This is more of you know what I mean? Like this is more of a Debo type weapon. He's not an absolute route runner. He's not someone that's going to run a 4-2 flat. You know what I mean? This guy is a weapon where when the ball is in his hands, he's, I believe, 6'1", 6 foot, 205 pounds. That he can stop on a dime. He can turn on a dime. I think when the ball is in his hands, he makes some crazy plays happen. So
Absolutely.
and being able to scheme him open with the rest of the wide receiver core we have with the Bears now, I think it is a good fit. I was very surprised, especially after seeing us. We already have Tyler Scott and that pickup from I don't want to mispronounce his name, but from the Commanders,
Zacchaeus.
Yeah. Which was another pretty slot receiver-esque. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Rome and DJ are both more definitely 1 and 2s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was definitely a surprise. He's more of a weapon than just a slot, I would say. Like I could definitely see him being on special teams as well.
Yeah,
Honestly, as a return man, there's a lot of different stuff I see from him. Um, a lot of people were saying that he could have been number one in the draft if he didn't have a little bit lackluster year. And you mentioned to me before missing practice, a few little things where he was,
yeah, just some like I saw there was like brief character concerns and stuff.
yeah,
So
which I mean,
who knows what that really means? But all in all, I think he's gonna be tremendous in the NFL. I think he
yeah,
will. He'll do just fine.
yeah,
So
time will
next,
tell.
yeah, and they had 3 second round selections. The Bears did. They picked number 56 as well as
Ozzy,
62.
Ozzy again. I'm gonna pronounce the last name wrong.
I
Tap
Trapio.
Trapio,
Yeah,
offensive tackle. Um, Mainly there, I'm just seeing the size and everything. There is a lot of potential from the footage I've watched after, because honestly, I didn't hear his name before this, but
no,
um, definitely a good tackle though. I mean, good in the run block. I've watched good in the passing. Just a good all around tackle. I know he prefers usually right tackle. Interior line was the true weakness, and replacing that in the offseason work,
yeah,
but still maybe slowly putting him into that left hook tackle situation will pay off. But I've seen a lot of decent clips from him. I do think he needs some. Uh, I think he'll need some work. I don't. He's not a starter. He's not a starter coming straight out of the board. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But we also have Braxton Jones for at least this coming year. I think after this coming year, that's it. But the size, I think he's like 6. He's big. He's 6'7", 6'8", I believe. The size, that's something you can't learn. You know what I mean? So definitely there will be some learning for him, especially going in the league and everything. But definitely just a physical talent.
picking Shamar Turner from Texas A&M, the defensive tackle.
Again, honestly, the Bears were surprising me this year. I think he's an absolute beast. I think he might be one of the best people we picked up this
Really?
draft. Truthfully,
Yeah,
pick after pick, they were surprising me. Every time I thought I had them, okay, we're going running back or we're going tackle here, they switched it up on me just like that. From Texas A&M defensive tackle, which we already have Andrew Billings, we already have Gravon Dexter, we already have now Grady
Jarrett.
Jarrett.
Yeah,
So a lot of positions there. But if you look at it, Billings and or not Dexter, Billings and Grady are both coming to the end of their terms in the league. What I mean,
yeah. You're not gonna get like high sack numbers from Grady Jarrett.
I like having the pieces to be able to scheme for different teams and everything. Grady will come in and do amazing. Billings as well. He did outstanding until he tore his pec last year. But Shamar Turner, every clip I've seen, he is a dog. He's got. I've heard this multiple times for some reason. He's a high motor.
Oh
Actually,
yeah, yeah,
is the specific term. So I think he's a go getter, and I do think he's the future. So
yep. Best. There was a linebacker, a corner, a guard, and a running back selected by the Bears. Any of those you want to break down in detail before we move on?
the corner.
The corner.
Um,
Okay. Zaw.
He is a 6'3.5" cornerback that ran a, if I can remember this right, a 4.32.
Okay.
That's a pretty rare. That's a
Yeah,
pretty rare.
that's speed.
That's just physical talent right there. I don't know much on his. I haven't seen too much footage, if I'm going to be honest about him.
Mm.
But that's a. I like the length of that type of corner, and I like the speed on that type of corner. That is a just physical dog. If we can get his ball knowledge up, you know what I mean, in the off seasons, and I'm sure he'll turn into. In my opinion, we just signed Kyler Gordon to an extension. Last year, we just signed JJ to an extension. Jalen Johnson. So if anything, sadly,
He'd be replacing Tyreek.
yes,
So
even see him filling out a safety position
yeah,
in the long term, which we have Byard. You know what I mean? Which is getting older. That was just a little outlet. You know what I mean? Just
you
a
like that
little.
pick though in the end.
I do just for the physical talent, but at the same time, it's definitely not a need. But just I like the Bears that I like that the Bears are now in the position that instead of filling absolute needs, we're picking the talent off the board. We're not just going for we really need O line. We
Yeah,
really need defensive. We're going for what is the most talented in this position or with our pick. You know what I mean? Like who's the most talented on the board right now?
yeah,
Okay, easy. You know what I mean? So, and I think he's a specimen, 6'3", 6'3.5", and can run a 4.3. That's
yeah.
a corner I want to have on my team. So
That's going to be a good addition to that
yeah,
defense wherever he plays. I'd like to go ahead and break down a little bit of the Dallas Cowboys draft.
awesome.
Yeah, so in the first round, not only did they select an offensive lineman, but
Which is very typical.
exactly it's the third offensive lineman with the first name Tyler in the past 4 years in the first round. So
They like them Tylers.
yeah, that adds to the list of Tyler Smith and also Tyler Guyton, and now you add Tyler Booker from Alabama, guard. I think that's going to be a great pick, great addition because Zach Martin just retired. I think having him back uh, in his place, I should say, will
Yeah.
be rather seamless transition as Booker allowed only one sack his whole collegiate career. So
Yeah.
uh, out of over 900.
I like the mentality. I saw the interview with Micah Parsons after
Yep.
talking about I like to see
He likes to
watch the fade of the love of the
Yeah,
game
he likes
in
to
their
he likes to
eyes.
watch him not love football anymore.
Yeah,
So
which
we were discussing Tyler Booker and how he likes to watch the love of the game leave the face of the opponent he's going against, and I think that's a great mentality to have, like you said. And
especially from a offensive play and an offensive lineman at
yeah,
that. So
he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be great.
yeah.
So I really like that pick. Moving on to their second round selection, they got Donovan Edzaraku out of Boston College, defensive end.
Okay.
He won the nation's best defensive end award. He had 16 and a half sacks, only second to Mike Green with 17. And I also think that's going to be a great pick, replacing another starter. It's replacing DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
And
Also pairing that with Micah
right,
Parsons.
that's two bookends. You know, you're
Yeah.
going to have some good pass rush with that. So I think he brings high energy, and he's a very relentless pass rusher.
Yeah.
So then another defensive pick in the second or third round, excuse me. They went with cornerback Siobhan Revel Jr. from East Carolina. This guy, like you were mentioning, the Bears took a 6'3" corner.
Yeah.
That same here. He's 6'3" and 195, so he's pretty
Pretty
slim.
slim.
Yeah, but he is all over the ball. He's making plays. He's very aggressive. He's a hard hitter. I like what I see from his tape, and I think it'll be a really good pickup, pairing him alongside not only Trayvon but also Deron Bland.
Yeah.
Whether one of them leaves in the next coming years, now you have a guy that you can work with in transition. They got a running back, but not nearly as early as I would have liked.
Okay.
But he's still uh,
From Texas.
Jaden Blue from Texas. I
Yeah.
think that's a good pickup. He ran a 4.38 at the combine, but at his pro day, he ran a 4.28. So
Quite speedy.
he's got some speed. There's a little bit of fumble concerns, but I think
He was the number one in Texas as well, right?
the starter there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was their starting. He had 14 touchdowns last year. I believe 8 on the
Wow.
ground and 6 through the air. So he's dual threat. You can get him in on the pass game, and you can really
Like Dowdle.
yeah.
A little bit of
He's a much smaller. He's a 5'9" running back compared
Okay.
to Dowdle was like 6'1". He running back for the future. I think he could be their starter one day. Whether that's this year right off the bat, I don't know. We'll see through camp. But he's going up against a couple veterans, and they also drafted another running back later. So we'll see what happens there. There's one more guy that really I'm excited for. The offensive lineman from Oregon, Ajani Cornelius. He is a
And Oregon was outstanding last year as
absolutely.
well. So
He can play left or right tackle.
okay.
I think
Ambidextrous.
yeah. So I think he could take over for Steele or whatever they're trying to do. I think if Guyton becomes this starter that they're hoping for at left tackle, then that's great. But
Okay.
I think having a guy like Ajani Cornelius could be a long
And
term.
who knows? Maybe he beats him to the punch.
He
Maybe
might.
he's,
He might. I don't know. I'd like to see a lot out of
Guyton.
Guyton though, but
Yeah.
I have high
We
hopes for
just
him.
saw a lot of, more than anything, offensive holdings from him last
Yeah, a
year.
lot of penalties.
A lot
I
of
think he had about
holdings.
15. So
Yeah.
that's a
That
little
was,
too much.
that was his weak point for sure.
I mean, I call me biased. I give them an A. I think they attacked all the needs other than wide receiver. In the there's still possibility they go after a free agent, such as like Amari Cooper or maybe even Keenan Allen, who spent some time in
Yeah.
Chicago. I think picking up a guy after the draft, who they also did get another Oregon player. They got Trayshawn Holden, so wide
Okay.
receiver from Oregon. I think he has a chance to make the roster, but they have high hopes on Jonathan Mingo, and I don't know. We'll see. They traded a
I like
fourth
the
round.
name.
They traded a fourth round pick for him last year, and he had like 12 catches on the year.
Okay.
So I don't know if he's really what we're gonna see as far as a number 2 receiver, but
Yeah.
I could see him getting some snaps, and he's got the size
And
for it.
I was going to say he's a bigger
Yes.
receiver as well. So
Yeah. That's what they need. They need
you guys
size out
have
there.
quite a bit. Yeah. I was going to say you need, other than CD's not all that big, right? CD's
He's like 6'1" or 2.
I was going to say 6'2" ish. And he's a lighter guy too. So putting another big guy out there, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Absolutely. That's why I was really hoping if they weren't to go offensive lineman in the first round, hopefully Tet McMillan would have fell, and they
Yeah.
have him listed at 6'4", so that'd be a pretty good weapon
Yeah.
out there. But it did not happen, and instead they're beefing up that offensive line, a little bit of the defensive line, and they're adding some depth pieces at corner, which I like to
Yeah.
see. So
Always.
a good draft overall. So now that we're moving on through these draft picks, what else do you want to mention before we send it off to the next episode?
I mean, there's so much that happened in this draft. I mean, Shador falling
Browns also selected Dylan Gabriel
before him,
in the 3rd round. So they
which we just saw. From everything I've seen, it's not performance that was lacking for Shador.
yeah.
It was more the cockiness
Mhm.
and him trying to tank a lot of interviews that places he didn't want to go to.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's going to be talk around the draft. You know what I mean? Like, so if he does good one place, doesn't do good another place, they're going to have talks. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
And I saw specifically he had a terrible meeting with the Giants. The Giants had
Okay.
him originally as their number 1
Which
quarterback.
originally that's where we all thought he was going to go. What other than not the Vikings, the Raiders.
Yeah.
It was either the Giants we thought he was going to go or the Raiders. Those
Yeah.
were the top 2 for sure. So
But in the end, the Giants go with Jackson Dart. He has a chance to be a starter in this league and be successful.
I like the mentality. I like the size. I like the arm talent as well. So all across the board. Also, dealing with Dion was the biggest concern for these teams as well.
Yeah.
Every time they were talking to Shador, they were talking to Dion as well. It wasn't a singled out. It was every time. You know what I mean? Like,
And now I saw that Shiloh had to fire Dion as his manager because
he actually got picked up
Yeah.
after the draft.
Tampa
So
Bay.
I honestly like him more than his brother. Like a more casual. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that Dion mindset where he thinks he's all that already.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, realistically, we saw Shador go the 5th round, and I think he deserved to be in the 4th or the 5th. I do think he should have gone a little bit higher talent-wise, but I think the name is what put him in the 1st round. Because let's be honest here, he was playing for Colorado. Who played better last year? Who had more wins, him or Will Howard?
No, you can't debate that. Yeah.
Who has the better size?
Yeah.
There's multiple aspects where I think, and I'm just a Will Howard fan as well. So I like Ohio State. You know what I mean? Like I think he should have gone much higher as well. He ended up floating to the late 5th or the 6th round.
6th round, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's absolutely a crazy steal for the Steelers.
Yeah.
I think he could potentially be their starter. I know that sounds.
No, I can see it too.
I seriously.
I mean,
think
look who
he
he's
could
going up against though right now.
Not much competition.
They have Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and maybe Aaron Rodgers down the road. We'll see.
Yeah, and I don't even think the Aaron Rodgers thing will pan out. But
even if it does, I don't think it's going to answer anything. It's
Yeah.
just going to be a temporary thing.
We saw him on the Jets. There
Yeah.
wasn't anything too much. So I would have selected Will Howard over Shador easily. But there was quite a few quarterbacks out there that are good talent, good size, but they need that time. They got to sit behind somebody. Most of these guys aren't starters. We can all agree Cam Ward on the right team is a starter. But
I think we can also agree that the Saints might be thrusting Tyler Shuck into a starting job. They picked him in the second round.
Which, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was a mind blower as well. I mean, I've seen
40.
multiple clips of him not.
Yeah, he's had some questionable throws and questionable decisions, but I don't know. I think he's
the size is there.
You know, I learned this little information too. He's the last NFL player to be born in the 90s that has been drafted. So
wow.
Yeah. Like,
wow.
That's fascinating.
Might as well draft him for that.
Yeah, I mean, he's about.
He's a 90s kid.
He was born in 99, so he's the oldest player out of the class. But
okay.
He was Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon back in 2019.
Wow.
That's how long he's been in college.
Wow.
So yeah, there's questions to be answered there.
I think it's going to take a lot for him. It's more decision making than anything. The arm talent is there. I've seen some good throws. I've seen some good arm power. The size is pretty good on him. It's more,
I just hope it doesn't turn into.
It's more the IQ.
When I see this, I see a little bit of Will Levis, and that could be challenging for the New Orleans Saints.
100%, but he's definitely the best on the team right now. I honestly liked Rattler last year, but after seeing him play in the league, was not what I was expecting. I liked Rattler, but at the same time, when you see him in the league, he's not performed nearly as much as I thought he could have.
And we'll see you guys next time. We might have a guest sitting in this chair.
It's going to be a little while before I go away. I was here before he got here in 2003. And in all likelihood, I'm going to be here when he's gone. You got to deal with that, bro. Plain and simple. It ain't a crime